right, look, we back. This is gonna be called South High 1997, all the way going to 2000. I might touch a little bit on 2001. I might do that, but I might have to do a whole new one when I get some other little ideas and stuff that's going on or whatnot. But I'm not sure. Things always get dirty all the time. So, looking at all my different ideas, we gonna do the Turtles in Time one too. Now, the 2000 one that I was talking about, I was gonna have a Micro Center story. That might have to be a story all into itself. So, going into it, I'm looking at all my little notes and stuff like that so I can remember. So, this was the Napster days. 97, I say 97, Life After Death, Master P, Ghetto Dope. That's what I think about when I think about 97. Caprice Classics, Blades, Mono Blocks, 8-Ball, Double Disc, Platinum, Sam Goody. You see what I'm saying? I'm bringing all that kind of stuff. We had what they call a Sam Goody. So this wasn't just a technical time for me. This was a musical awakening. Because as a kid, my dad didn't really like rap music. He was like this secular stuff, like not even really Motown or something. My mom used to mess with the Earth, Wind and Fire, the James Brown and all of that kind of stuff. He was more into like the Larnell. Like he didn't really listen to anything like that. So, you know, like I say, my older brother I walk in this room, who's this fat nigga? Who's this fat nigga on this purple tape? Why is the tape purple? Little do I know, one of the greatest damn albums of all time. One of the greatest albums of all time, only built for Cuban links. Who's Nas? Who's Nas? Who's this kid with this big head? Nas Illmatic. I remember seeing that tape, 1994. So I'm kind of, it ain't too far from this 97 right here. BMG order 8 CDs for a penny, and then they start. So I put a fake name, Jim Jorgen or whatever the case may be. I put a fake name. I ordered CDs. Wu-Tang Forever, All Eyes on Me. It might have been, I think, was it Infamous, Mobb Deep or something like that. Like, I had 7 CDs for the price of a penny. And then they keep sending you stuff and you're supposed to pay them. That was called BMG Direct. So, just kind of giving y'all an idea, if you had to get a CD, you went to Digital City, which I start doing that later when I start kind of branching out to the north side. You went to Fifth Element on Hennepin. So you hopping on the 2, you getting off, and you getting all your CDs, or you going to Electric Fetus off Franklin. That's where you getting your CDs. If you from the south side, you from the north side, you going to Digital City. But if you from over north, you might come over to Electric Fetus too. So I'm kind of giving y'all an understanding of this tech shit that I got into was a combination of tech and music at the same damn time. You see what I'm saying? So, we messing with Turtles in Time, Hyperstone Heist, Streets of Rage, and then you got Twister Adrenaline Rush. You see what I'm saying? So, ninth grade was an interesting year because I was still very, very shy, and I still kind of had that mentality where, like my dad had this thing before he had left, but we had this thing with school is no matter what happens in school, you cannot get suspended from school. So 7th grade, I got into a fight, I had to tear some dude down. 8th grade, I got into another fight, I had to put the brakes on somebody, this one dude. So, but I was still in that mindset in 9th grade where I had to pretty much just accept the the bullying or whatever, stuff like that. So, 9th grade, I kind of had to just let people just do whatever they do or whatever. My dad got out the house, I think it was around 97. I came home, I don't know where we were going, but my dad came, it was a sunny day. I came home, we were getting ready to leave somewhere. My mom's like, wait outside. I didn't know what was going on. He came in, they talked for a minute. We might have been outside for maybe 5 minutes or something like that, I don't know. And he comes out the house, he looks at us and just leaves. That was the end. I didn't really know what was going on to a certain extent. I'd have to ask my grandma or something like that. But it was over. You see what I'm saying? I was relieved in a certain way because I felt like I was able to kind of be creatively independent. Because it always seemed like something we want to do. My mind was behind anything creative we want to do. With him, it was kind of like you didn't feel too empowered to do that, But see, naturally, and that's the issue with single mother homes. Eventually, what happens is you start taking your mom. You see what I'm saying? And then dad now is the villain. Now I look 30 years later. Order. You see what I'm saying? He demanded order. You see what I'm saying? So whatever other things they had going on, but for me, now it's a free-for-all. I'm going back to school. 10th grade, I did a lot of skipping and stuff like that. But 10th, 11th, 12th grade, we getting it up. I'm tearing it down. I'm now in my mind, I'm starting to kind of build my confidence or whatever. Yeah, anybody want to fade? Let's go. So 10th, 11th, 12th grade. This is before all the heavy, super heavy. This was before drill music and stuff like that and all that. So yeah, people was you could still knuckle up back then, and ain't no guarantee ain't nobody gonna come back and end you. They ain't gonna unalive you back then to that degree. It happens, but we used to tear it down. So that was my whole thing, tearing it down. I'm tearing it down. Whatever want to tear it down. So I'm kind of building my confidence. Start talking to women a little bit more. So I'm starting to get a little respect. I'm starting to kind of, and then I still interested in my tech stuff. So I'm heavy into my writing, heavy into my poems. Start writing little raps around maybe 10th, 11th grade. Never didn't want to show nobody. So 1999 Napster comes out. I was working at Cub Foods at, I think, 11th grade. So that's my confidence really started kind of building up a little bit. So I'm getting a little money, working after school, save up, go to, where did I go? Was it Best Buy or was it Circuit City? It was one of the two. Bought a CDR, 8X speed, $200. Installed it. Remember, I built my own computer around 90, 98. There was a teacher, conservative kind of dude. His name was Bill Ruff. He was one of those, Master P, and I don't like, he was one of those. But he showed me something one day. All the white guys in there, they were able to build their own computers. I really didn't have the money. Pull up your bootstraps or something, he says. I was kind of like, but I did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went and got a job because and I started buying parts for my own computer. I built it. I got the CDR. And I'm glad he told me that shit. In my mind, I was kind of like, okay, man, this conservative dude or whatever. I was like, okay, why does he hate rap so much? Like, I went and did it. Built my own computer, put that CDR joint in. Man, listen, man, when Napster came out, man, listen, let me tell you something. We was getting our roll on. Eventually, they shut Napster down. But to us, so my friends are all coming up. I'm the only one in the neighborhood. You had to come to my house to download. Now, we don't really understand the copyrights and stuff like that. We really don't know too much about what this infringement is and stuff like that. But let me tell you, let me bring this up on the screen. Is it on the screen? It's not on the screen. Napster was a peer-to-peer. So they just come by, and most of the time, it'd be underground stuff. Ghetto Boys, Psychodrama, Do or Die, 8-Ball MJG. And the music industry was pissed. They was mad because basically you was getting free music and stuff like that. This was around the time I think I had DSL. I started off using Net Zero. I gotta find an image for that. So I'm grabbing some of these images for y'all because I wanna put that, So that's at the 9-minute mark. Okay. So I know where to go. So Napster came out. I downloaded it. I don't know how I found out about it. Somebody said, man, get Napster. Because This was around the time when the internet it wasn't like how it is now. You ain't getting no 100 megabytes a second or whatever, but you got enough to download you some. We wasn't downloading movies and stuff like that till later, till we found out about BitTorrent. Then I started getting the Smack DVDs, and all I'm telling you, man, it was a beautiful time in Minneapolis, man. Anybody could attest to that that's from the South and North Minneapolis. It was a beautiful time getting your hustle on. The people of my ilk, we didn't have to necessarily sell dope. A lot of my homies did it because it was easy. But me, I'm like, hell, how much time you get for a rock? Oh, hell no, I'm about to burn me some DVDs. I'm gonna burn me some CDs or something like that, and I'm gonna do some PC repair. So this was a beautiful time where they come over, they make their mixtapes. We go out into the backyard. We smoke a blunt. I'm just gonna say it. Hell yeah, we was smoking blunts. We roll up a blunt, and I go to the backyard and I smoke. And I come in, we download, and they make it little. We got Psychodrama. We got Triple Darkness. A lot of the Chicago niggas want to hear this dude called D.A. Smarts. The Chicago gangbanging niggas want to listen to D.A. Smarts, Triple Darkness, Adrenaline Rush, Mob Stability. When that Mob Stability came out, man, Mob Stability came out. That was it. There wasn't a Chicago Negro that did not have Speed Knot Mobsters and Mob Stability in his Caprice. Not one. If you're from Chicago and you say you did not have Mob Stability in your car, you're not from Chicago, or you're a liar. You're a liar. You ain't from Chicago. I don't know where you from. You had Mob Stability. You had Mob Stability in your car if you was from the rap. 100%, or you was from somewhere else. I don't know if you might have been from Evanston or something like that. No, you had Speed Knot Mobsters, Mob Stability in that deck, and you had Suave House. You had Suave, yes. If you was from Chicago, you had 8-Ball Double Disc Lost with the bonus CD with Psychodrama, because you remember people was like, damn man, when Psychodrama gonna come out with a CD? Suave House didn't put it out. Nuisance and Buck and but man, please, you for sure had that in your tape deck or CD. So you might go to Music Go Round in Uptown. Like I said, you probably go to Digitals. I mean, there was a bunch of places we buy CDs. We used to brag about buying the CDs. Man, I got that new I Am Nas. We used to brag, man, I got it. I ain't stacked though. I done beat you to it, nigga. I got Nas Stillmatic. I went to Circuit City. I wanted the bonus disc. I beat you to it. We used to brag about getting the CDs. We used to brag to each other about who bought the CD first. Hey man, you know track number 7? You know Bernie Grundman mastered that? Oh man, you know that was Megahertz that did that intro for who got yourself a gun. And like, you know, we would look at the credits, and a lot of times when you buy the source, or well I stopped messing with it. I started going to Murder Dog, dealing with the underground dudes in like the Bay Area. Man, listen, we get all that stuff. And you know what's crazy? Even though we had Napster, we'd still buy the CD. We would still buy the CD, bro. We acted like Napster didn't even exist. We'd still buy the CD on Tuesday. Digital City put it out on Monday. They ain't supposed to, but that's what they used to do. We'd go over north and we'd buy the CD. We'd hop on the 19. And here's the thing, man, look, I'm bringing back some super memories now. A lot of times, guys from over south, sometimes we because North Minneapolis used to have that stigmatism where they be like, oh man, everybody burn up over there. Man, some bad broads. Oh, Broadway had some bad looking chocolate sisters over there. But sometimes we be kind of squeamish, like, you know what I'm saying? So we would go hop on the 5, so you had to go downtown. So remember over there where I said Cedar and Washington, you could hop on the 19. You could do 2 ways to get downtown if you want. You could hop on the 19, the 7, get downtown, transfer to the 5. Downtown was off the hook. Downtown was off the chain back then. You could really run into some enemigos down there. Like if you got into it with somebody or whatever, downtown was the breaking point between North and South Minneapolis. So if you had an issue with somebody, you gonna see them. Downtown everybody's transferring. Like I said, not all of us had cars. So, if you were a young dude, you 16, 17, 18, 19, you in your 20s or whatever, yeah, you see some nice looking sisters down there all the time. All the time. All you had to do was be fresh, have a couple dollars. It wasn't this insane arena of you gotta have a Rolls Royce right now, or you gotta, you know what I'm saying? You didn't have that. You didn't have that, right? So, like I say, you had to be you. We didn't have a platform to be someone else. Oh, I'm like this rapper, or I'm Kendrick or Drake, or I'm just I'm like a D-boy. I could show money on the ground. You had to be who you were. So you had a little bit more individualism to a certain degree. You see what I'm saying? The intellectual was not thought as somebody that was put on a high regard. If you claimed a set and you were somebody, or if you were somebody that was mainly a D-boy or something like that, that was in high regard. The techs like myself, that was almost non-existent. The kids that was really into high technology, unless you went to a magna class where people could appreciate your intellect, that was not high regarded in the hood. There was people that grew up with you and be like, oh man, he's smart, or whatever the case may be. But that wasn't something you could brag about. I knew damn near the whole periodic table at one point. There was dudes from Cedar Riverside, used to be like, man, DP know the whole periodic table. Look at it. And they make me quote it. Niggas be like, man, tell him, man. And I just, oh yeah, gold, AU, and you know what I'm saying, now AG, or whatever the case may be. Like, so there were some people you might have grew up around, but man, he's smart. He gonna be something. He gonna be, but you got to keep in mind, this area that we lived in, even though Minneapolis would have been quote unquote, oh, the Negro made it, majority of the people in the neighborhood, I didn't really see any fathers. This is 85%, 90% single mother home. The only person I knew that had a dad that was in the neighborhood was John Tell. There wasn't that many, and if I did see them, they didn't live there. You see what I'm saying? Most folks that see the Riverside and the West Bank, far as we knew in our area, we didn't really see any dads. So when it comes to technology and going and looking at the U of M right down the street, man, let me say something right quick. Looking at all of you at Augsburg College, right by Devani's, we go to Devani's all the time. We had two sets of U of M. We got a set of U of M over there close to Roseville. We got a set in Duluth, and we got U of M on the East and the West Bank. There was no excuse for us not to all be PhDs. None. Nobody should have left the West Bank without a fucking bachelor's degree, at minimum, at 22 years old. But our parents didn't push us. But one good thing about it is we got to kind of see it. We seen paradise around us, but we got to see, and it was immigrant businesses, but they were black. As far as we thought, we seen a black face and just assumed. You see what I'm saying? So we used to see a lot of the Ethiopians and the Eritreans own certain stuff. That's before like the heavy Somali population came in, and after that they just, but we got to see that. And even with the Somalis, we got to really see what group economics look like. I could give them that. We got to see what somewhat of a code of conduct in group economics look like within a block radius. I'm talking about the whole Cedar Riverside. They owned it all. They had all of the businesses there. So there was somewhat of and something my homies could attest to this, there was some kind of a autonomy with adopting the small business mindset. Well, you may not have 10, 15, 20 grand to start your stuff up. You might have to just run downtown St. Paul and get an LLC and just get it out the mud. And that's what I used to do. So, like I say, 11th grade, I had always been messing with the computer. So 11th, I think it was 10th grade, I took that class with Mr. Ruff. So around 11th grade, I had already started, I wanted to build computers. This was something I wasn't attracted to, thinking, well, man, I'm going to be on the block serving. Even though I seen my homies that had like a Bronco and the Caprices, and I seen and niggas over Southeast, I used to see niggas have shit. And I'd be like, damn, man, I'm tired of being broke. Fuck. I wasn't envious of them. I was just like, damn. But I was like, damn, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to jail. So I start coming up with different ways that sometimes I do people's papers. Once I start building my own computer, and once folks found out that I had the CDR and I had the CD burner, that's when I started kind of burning CDs. And if somebody wanted something copied, I could do that. And, you know, I was one of the few people that someone can go to. This little dude knows how to do this and do that. You see what I'm saying? So I think if I would have just had another male figure around me from 96, 97 all the way to maybe 04, 05, man, I would have been a force to be reckoned with. I would have had a little mini geek squad around that time. It just took me a little longer. So I eventually, when my homies, opened up a store, and we sold the same thing. We had mixtapes and stuff like that. This was, you know, so around that time, yeah, 11th, 12th grade, like I think it was 11th grade. Let me find out when I got that CDR, because then I'm gonna know. Let me do the HP CDR 8X, and then I'll tell y'all exactly which one. We're at the 1 minute mark, so I'm gonna put that up there. So I'm writing that down. I'm just trying to get all my stuff. Okay, so it looked like this. It was an HP. That's a 32X. And I would upgrade. I said, the 16X is out. I think I kept that 8X joint for a long time. It looked like this. So let me try to get the images together. Now I started buying these joints right here. These were some of the first ones I started buying. But this what it looked like, y'all. It looked just like that. It looked just like that, but it was, and I think I bought the CDRW, but I didn't buy none of the rewritables. I didn't want this. I'm just trying to burn your stuff and it's final. That's it. I'm not trying to, so I never really bought the CDRWs. The RWs are rewritables. You could burn something and then come back and erase it or whatever, but I'm burning music and stuff like that. So here you go. Here you can get my bread, 3 for 10, 6 for 20. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do it. So it looked like, now eventually I got what they call a light scribe, but I didn't use that much. That was later on in years. That 8X joint lasted me damn near almost at least 7 years plus. And then it started slowing down because I used to burn so many CDs. But we didn't care about waiting. It might take 10 minutes or whatever. I would rip the CD, rip the DVD, the CD. I had to come up with different ways to be able to burn stuff faster and whatnot. But this is what I had. It was, I believe it was an 8X CDRW. It was $229.99. So let me see if I can find the release when the 8X CDRW came out. Man, is this it right here? This might have been it. Man, look, it used the Pentium 2 300 megahertz. The Pentium 2. Man. Windows 95, 98, ME 2000 yet, because I didn't get XP till later. I was messing with 98 for a minute. I had Windows 98 on my first computer. I had to buy it wasn't no free downloads. You paying for an operating system, 100. That's what you paying for. That was a nice little piece of change. 15, 16 years old to be buying that shit, man. It wasn't cheap. It was not cheap. Oh, I had that one, Teak. I had one of those too. That's crazy how I brought that up. They called it the Teak. When did the Pentium 2 come out? The Pentium 2, I'll be damned. Yes, sir. The Pentium 2 came out May 7th, 1997. I think I had a Pentium 2. I wanted a Pentium 3. I'm going to make a General Nanosystems story because that's how I bought all of this stuff. I went down to General Nanosystems, That's on University Avenue. So it's not far from Dinkytown. You could take Washington all the way. Like I say, all the places we grew up, we didn't have to leave the West Bank for nothing. Now, we left to go to maybe Seward. We left to go to Seward School or Matthews Park because that was the park. But there wasn't a lot of places to eat around there or whatnot, but you could go up to Lake Street. But we didn't have to leave the West Bank. You know how like some people you talk to from Chicago, they said, I'll never go on the West Side. They don't have to. We didn't feel like everything that we had. Now, when we had to shop, we had to go to Cub Foods. We had to go to Lake. So you're either going to Cub or Rainbow. Rainbow seemed like it was cheaper. My parents used to always go to Rainbow. But, you know, that Pentium 2, they discontinued it around 2003. So keep in mind, when I first built my computer, that might have been around 98. General Nano Systems had been around for a while, but I bought a lot of stuff piece by piece. But as I started going up there was some white dudes that was acting real funny. It was some little, you know, them little video gaming race soldiers with their little fork. If Fork's Hand was alive, they'd be on it right now. So they act real funny. And it was very disrespectful, some of the discourse when you know, I'd go up there and start buying stuff and I had questions or whatever. And it was a lot of other brothers that when they start getting into the PC stuff, they were like, man, I thought I was the only one. Because like I said, it was not that many black people going up there like that, buying and building their own PCs. It wasn't a lot. Because first you'd have to have somebody that you knew to teach you how to do it, or if you buy an A+ book or whatever. Like I say, I learned it because my mom was going to the Minnesota School of Business and she brought a big thick book home. And that's what really did it. I should have had that on the last story time. But that's really what did it for me. That's what did it for me. Okay. But 1997, the Pentium 2 processor, I believe either I had that or I might have had an AMD. Intel was like the Acura. Intel was like the Lexus. And the Acura was AMD. But I had got an AMD that was a little cheaper, but the processing speed and some of the stuff it could do was better. So I don't think I had a Pentium. I'm not sure if I had a Pentium 2. I started running into a lot of computers. Once I learned how to get computers, people used to think their computer was broke or didn't want them new or whatever like that. That's when my gold mine came through. I never in my life paid full price for a PC. I don't ever remember buying a PC full price. Even when they were kind of expensive. I had built my own, so my attitude towards purchasing a new PC, you gonna give me this bullshit e-machine that's gonna cost an arm and a leg that I can't upgrade. Man, a lot of times people used to just give me their PCs. Man, this piece of shit don't work. And I wouldn't tell them what I know, but they might have me fix something else, and I'm like, listen, man, they might have another PC, got viruses or whatever. Most people, when they got viruses, some people just get rid of the PC because Geek Squad will charge so damn much that and this was around, I think maybe the 2000 to I'll say from the 2003 or maybe I'll say 2004, maybe 04, 05, because I was still, like I say, when I really started making money doing refurbishing the PCs and stuff like that and just learning, because you got to put your work in. You dig? You got to put your work in. Once I did that, probably maybe I think 05 to I'll say 2010. That's when I didn't need any more support from any, like I could use mentorship, but at that point, that's when I learned how to really make money. Because people would initially, you'd have I go to people's houses, I start working on their stuff, and then it always be, oh man, black folks need to stick together, man. You gonna charge me $50 for that password reset? So I started kind of getting paperwork and start telling niggas like, man, you gotta pay me, bro. They had one story one time where this dude, he couldn't connect his Bluetooth or something, and I fixed it, and then literally within 5 minutes of being in this house, I didn't have a car around that time, so that had to have been well before 06, 07. Yeah, my first car was like 07 or something like that. 07, 08, around about 07. So I was taking the bus. I get over there. Nigga ain't acting like he want to pay. And, you know, man, I got some little hood rats, man. So he tried to pretty much sell me on some hoes. He knew I was kind of inexperienced. He said, man, I knew some big booty chicks. I'd call over here. He tried to get me with that. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I don't mind meeting somebody, but I'm like, I can't let them think that I'm this green. And I was green. But I'm just putting it together like, I get my paper and I can meet my own. But he was really trying to pull it. And I'm like, bro, I need my bread. So he was trying to figure out a way not to pay me. And so, because of the small amount of time that it took for me to do it, and that's when I start saying, well, let me pick up your PC. I give someone a card. I'll do it at the house or whatever. I'll do what I do, and then I'll get back to you. Some people were a little leery at first because they were like, okay, he might run off with it. So sometimes folks was leery. You know, you got a whole PC or a laptop, you may not see me again. You see what I'm saying? But I guess people start feeling like they can trust me or whatever like that. And then word of mouth, hey, he does this or whatever. But sometimes you still have those folks where you set something up. Man, my printer ain't installed. Well, nigga, you ain't get a USB cord. I told you that's what you got to get. Oh, man, you getting over because they don't know shit. They don't really know basic core competency. You're paying me to be competent because you're not. But they don't know how to use it. What's all these pop-ups? That got installed with the computer you got from Best Buy. Man, these are pop-ups. It's adware. So you got a lot of that. So what I started doing, because I used to hook people up, I'd install all kinds of office programs and all that. I said, no, I'm getting bare minimum. I installed their OS, I throw AVG on there, might put Open Office on there, and that's it. Because I kept running into black folks that was trying to get over. I'm already giving you niggas a deal because Geek Squad trying to hit you over the head for $300-400. So I had to kind of run into that, and that's all within, that's paying your dues. That's all within me paying my dues and just learning how to deal with people. So like I said, eventually I start using TeamViewer. Hey, I'll log into your stuff, man. I'll just go pick up the money afterwards. And I ain't had no issue with that because a lot of people, they were just happy that they stuff's working right now. And then eventually you start having people, they go back to these little weird sites and, you know, I didn't charge them to back up their stuff. I back it up, I put it on a disk or put it right back on the hard drive and all that. But eventually I got to the point where some people just kept getting viruses. And I said, man, I'm about to put Linux on your shit, bro. Ubuntu. So I did heavy computer repair literally from maybe 2007. And I kind of stopped doing it because smartphones came out. This started coming out, so people, they didn't have to go to their computer to get Facebook. We didn't really listen, you know, Facebook 2007, 2008, 29. I mean, Facebook and the apps, the gram, which came later, we didn't use Instagram back then. Facebook was a thing. So people start getting their cap on around the time with Facebook. But we used to use Black Planet. Man, do I got to do a story? Man, there's some things I say I leave off, but man, I might have to do a story time on Black Planet. MySpace? Man, please. They talking about getting flown out right now. Man, please. Wasn't nobody getting flew out. MySpace. Blockbuster. This was before Netflix. It was MySpace and Blockbuster and Black Planet. Some of you niggas, some of you Negroes that wanted try to get some Latino. It was kind of hard to pull one of them over McGinty. Yeah. It was one of them type of times. There wasn't nobody flying nobody out talking about, well, you got to get me a Rolls Royce and get all my nails done and all that. MySpace, Blockbuster, 2 for $5. 2 for $5. Blockbuster and a Caprice Classic. That's it. This world where you got to have an $80,000-$100,000 car, and half of these chicks complaining about being able to barely pay their rent right now. That this pandemic and this shit right here, this messed up the game. Because the capping really started happening with this here. The capping start happening with this right here. You could get your cap. You could get your Sir Cap-a-Lot on. You could get your Abraham Lincoln cap on. But like I say, when I was kind of moving around, I had to take the bus. I'd pick up people's computers or whatever, or a lot of times I just go to their house. And a lot of times people would, what I would do is I'd find out what kind of computer they had, and I would download the drivers and I put it on a USB drive. As long as I have the network driver or the motherboard and chipset, what, you know, if they had Dell or whatever the case may be, sometimes I'd even use a generic. I just wipe all their shit out. Do you have anything important that needs to be on here? Oh, I can't get to it. Sometimes. And now people start talking crazy to me. Well, I need this and this, that, and the third. And they start talking a little slick to me. I'll be like, man, I can't get a hold of it. I can't get their files. And just wipe that shit out with the OEM Dell disk. Because see, now I ain't got to pay for no license. I have an OEM Dell disk for Windows XP. I didn't deal with 98. I was dealing with XP at that time. Eventually, I started getting into 7. Man, I'm telling you, it was a beautiful time, man. If I would have known what I'm giving y'all right now back in 2000, 01, 02, or I could say 06, 07, 08, if I would have knew that my hustle was going to be so robust within that 3-year time frame, I would have got a 401k and kept doing that. When I became a Citrix administrator, the white guy sat me down. He said, man, if you would have been doing 401, even during that market crash, kid, if you would have been sitting on 200. I was sick the rest of the day. My spirit was broken. He said, if you would have just put this little couple dollars, because remember I was telling him, I said, well, I started off, do contract in 08. He said, when did you start real professional? I said, well, kind of 08 with Robert Half, and then I kind of did. He said, man, kid, if you would have been doing this till now, this was around 2016, 2017. I didn't understand wealth management. That's why I wrote a whole chapter in this second book, because I didn't understand wealth management. 401k was never intended to be for retirement. PBS Frontline did a whole special on it. It was never intended to be for retirement. He said, if you would have did this, even during the market crash, you would have had 100 to 200. Putting away this little $100 here and this little $100 there each check. If you would have had that, our parents didn't teach us that. I'm critical of the last couple generations because they should at least looked into it. Now they could say, well, they didn't know. My grandma owned a house. Our parents didn't tell us. I never heard the term 401k in Cedar Riverside when we were growing up. I never heard that term. So, like I say, that's why I'm like, well, now I don't know how things are looking now. It's looking rough. But when I was doing my tech training, and I was telling certain folks, y'all might want to hop on this little train 7 years ago. Y'all might want to consider this. I still have people to email me. Hey, man, things is looking rough. Yeah, you didn't listen to me. You see what I'm saying? So, I'm going to have to suffer too. But yeah, man, that Pentium 2 that came out in 1997. This is the long one because I'm kind of ranting a little bit. That Pentium 2, y'all, came out in 1997, and they had this one. Let me see what else I got. So even now, when I left South High and I went to this place called WOC on Lake Street. So let's go up here. Lake Street. So I don't know why it's doing that, but I'm just going to say Target on Lake. So right here, that's where South High was. Now, if you stayed over South, you probably going to go to South High. If you stayed over South in any of these areas, you probably going to go to South High, or you're going to go to Roosevelt, which is kind of like around, where's Roosevelt? I think Roosevelt's kind of over here somewhere. Yeah, kind of over here. So, but if you went to Cedar Riverside, If you went to Seward, if you went to the Seward neighborhood or anywhere up in here, South High was the only school. Now, if you stayed over on this side, you went to Washburn. We used to always think Washburn folks got money because it's over here close into like in the 40s and the 50s. I wanted to go to Southwest because they had a magnet program, and that's where my parents should have made sure they didn't accept me. Maybe my grades were, I don't know what it was, but I wanted to go there. And that's way on the other side of the city. But they had some magnet programs and they had some paper over there. So I think the experience would have been a little different. When you had kids that were kind of gifted, like I remember when I was in South High, they sent me to certain places. And I think it was even in middle school. I went to like somewhere where the teachers thought I was gifted. And so I used to go to these classes. They bring us to these colleges. And sometimes I sit there and I go for like a whole day. But I kind of felt like a fish out of water a little bit. But I'm telling you, they should have made sure that I went to a school that was kind of above this. South High, I'm going to be honest. South was not equipped to deal with young black kids with talent. It was all about standard and borderline. That was their focus when it came to the black kids. You know, so I thought that was very interesting on that. But we're going to go into the next story time. But as I was saying, dealing with Napster and LimeWire came out in 2000, right? And they said a third of all PCs in the world had LimeWire. So when Napster kind of shut down and we started using LimeWire, you could download stuff. Eventually, the LimeWire had a lot more viruses. That was the issue with LimeWire. LimeWire had a lot more viruses. So, but like I said, eventually, Smack DVD came out, all of that. So the next storyline I'm going to get is probably going to be into the later 2000s. I covered some of the stuff already, but the later 2000s and how, you know, I think I already did a story time on IPR. I went to IPR right when it first started. So I started learning how to mix and master and stuff like that in 2003. I was learning how to use the SSLs and all those consoles and Pro Tools and stuff like that, because even in high school, you know, in my mind, I wanted to be a producer. My homie was rapping. He was really good. And I started going to the studio with them. So that's going to be the next story time, going, I'll say from 2000, 2001, the order and the whip. That was the respective whip was an 01 Impala. So the 96 Impala was still something. Not everybody had them. Them joints with the stick shift and the 5 and the 350 in it. That was it. But yeah, you had an 01 Impala or 01 Monte Carlo. Man, I'm just talking about the times, y'all. I'm just talking about the times and the music and whatnot. What was kind of going on around that time. The studio became the thing. Folks want to rap. So if you was a street nigga and had some money, you could get into the studio. Not everybody could just get in the studio like that because it used to cost a lot of money. You couldn't just download. I mean, you could download the software. You could get some of the stuff. You could get Pro Tools. A lot of people didn't do that. They just wanted to go to the studio because they may have wanted a certain quality or whatever. But that was a big thing. As a matter of fact, going into the studio, you either went to the Red Sea above there, they had one, but then they had Angel Beach, but niggas was breaking into studios, doing all kind of shit, trying to steal equipment, and half of them didn't even know how to use it. So I don't know what the purpose was. I guess they figured they go to the pawn shop. But I noticed that's when a lot of dudes that would rap would start going to the studio. Angel Beach was a big one. There was one called 32 West. That was one that was premiere. And, you know, then there was one over north, right in the warehouse district. That was a whole bunch of dudes from the street. Matter of fact, people that rented over there, all of them was from the street for the most part. You know, and then you'd have little rock bands and stuff like that. So that's who you had to affiliate with in order to get into the studio. If you were working a little 9 to 5, you probably could, but you know, a lot of dudes just start buying their own equipment. They bought their own equipment, and then they just had somebody that knew how to, you know, do the Pro Tools and whatnot, and niggas be up in there rapping and smoking weed and gang banging and carrying on. And that was the thing. I guess everybody, you know, we listened to 50 Cent. We thought we could rap. So you had a bunch of dudes, that's what they would do. And there was only a few people in the city that really started kind of, you know, that were making it. Like you had Mayhem and his crew, and then you had a couple folks from Chicago. Street Kings did it the biggest, I would say. But you had like the Rhyme Sayers and Atmosphere. They were the ones that really hit the billboard and was actually got rich off that shit. You know, some white dudes. But you know, like there wasn't a whole bunch of people that made it. Some folks had to leave and go different places. I mean, eventually we had like Allen Kingdom, and it was a couple other people that, you know, but we talking about just that time, everybody was kind of just, you know, it was underground. Like you couldn't really make it up out of here like that. Folks wasn't really checking for Minnesota. Now, everybody in Minnesota was checking for everyone else. Matter of fact, let me tell this real quick story. Lil Boosie, he said, they burning my CDs, they burning my CDs. He was mad about that at first. He was pissed. He said, burning my CDs made the whole hood believe. When we used to have our mixtapes and we was doing Lil Boosie and Webby gangster music, everybody wanted that. Everybody. And at first he was like, damn, man, they take it. That made him hot in Minnesota. Every time he comes to Minnesota, we talking about from the music business standpoint, he feels like it's at home. This makes me feel like I'm in Louisiana. The love he gets, homegrown, it's like a second place for him to come and feel comfortable and make money because people love him that much. They love the music that much. Burning my CDs made the whole hood believe. Burning my CDs made the whole hood believe. I should make that the title. So, you know, that was a big thing then. You know, so like I say, when I was making mixtapes and stuff like that, me transitioning, and I'll get into that. That'll be the next story time, because this one's a little longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down because this one's probably a little too long. But I hope y'all enjoy it. We're gonna go to the next story time.